Frustration and fury explodes onto the streets of Tel Aviv. Hundreds of thousands marching in anger in some of the largest anti-government protests since the Hamas attack on October 7. For many here, they say Benjamin Netanyahu has blood on his hands.
Everyone here wants one thing and one thing only: to save lives and to save the hostages. There's such a sense of grief and shock and loss and anger here, but there's also a determination. These people say this is more than about the hostages, it's about the future of their country.
Hirsch Goldberg Poland was just 23 when he died, a young man, a member of an Arab-Jewish coexistence group. The Israeli-American's body was discovered in a Hamas tunnel just days ago. During his 332 days of captivity, Mother Rachel and his father John spoke at the UN. They implored presidents and the Pope to help him.
Finally, my sweet boy, finally, you're free.
The Israeli president begged Hirsch's family for forgiveness in his eulogy.
How sorry I am that we failed to bring him home. From here, I call upon the international community. The time to act is now.
Yet with few signs of progress, President Biden is growing more and more frustrated with his ally. Truce talks are ongoing, he says, and there'll be a new draft peace deal this week.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
But Mr. Netanyahu has his red lines, as he again pointed out in a rare press conference. He's demanding, even after a deal, that Israel keep effective control over Gaza's border with Egypt.
With all our hearts, and I am committed with all my heart to securing a deal and promoting a deal, unfortunately, we haven't seen the same response from Hamas.
But despite the groundswell of anger and public opposition, polls are suggesting the Prime Minister is regaining some popularity across the country. So these growing calls for peace may fall on deaf ears once again.
Let's bring in Alison now in Jerusalem. Ali, you've spoken to these protesters and you've been among the crowds. Do you think Benjamin Netanyahu will survive this challenge to his rule?
Well, Jeremy, on paper it does seem like an overwhelming amount of pressure. You've got these hundreds of thousands of protesters that say they've lost confidence in their leader, the US president who's questioning Netanyahu's commitment to bringing hostages home. Even his own defence minister, the man who's meant to be in charge of running this war, has come out and publicly denounced a cabinet decision to keep Israeli troops in a certain part of Gaza. So, enormous amount of pressure, but we need to remember that the real only threat to Benjamin Netanyahu's hold on power is if he loses the support of the extreme right wing of his coalition. At the moment, they want the war to continue, which appears to be where Benjamin Netanyahu's head is at as well. So despite this massive groundswell and the protests continuing today, it is unlikely that there'll be any impact on Benjamin Netanyahu's immediate political future.
Alison Horn in Jerusalem.